You know, said Mrs. Pendergast, I don't mean to interrupt, but I just remembered that I have this dream. You're interested in dreams, aren't you, Tom? Of course he is, Carrie, Mr. Pendergast said. Dreams are the very heart and soul of good literature, modern literature especially. You kids can go back upstairs now. Nice meeting you, Mr. Decker, the children said. You too, Mrs. Decker, and they clattered back upstairs to their rooms. In this dream, I'm naked, said Mrs. Pendergast. Carrie, said her husband, moving forward in his chair. How risque. What time is it getting to be, said Tom. I'm naked and I'm covered with thick, translucent, glistening, gelatinous, golden, syrupy goo that's like honey. It must be honey because then I'm covered with bees. Oh, said Rita. No, no, dear, said Mrs. Pendergast. They're not stinging me, although I suppose the threat is there. But I'm not at all afraid. I like the bees. My hands are tied. I'm lashed to a post, coated with this glaze of warm honey, naked in the warm sun. A swarm of them lands on me, buzzing, and it feels almost indescribable, like 1,000 fingertips, like a quivering, living second skin. And then, there's more, said Mr. Pendergast, winking at the Deckers on the couch. Carrie, you're insatiable. Arthur, please, you are not the only person in this world with desires, said Mrs. Pendergast. Corrected, he held up his hands, then motioned for her to continue. She did. And then the bees fly away because a bear is coming, a great, huge, brown, shaggy grizzly bear, lumbering up on all fours, enormous, enraged, aroused, ravenous, slobbering, growling. Then he rises up on his hind legs, towering over me, inches away, and he roars, shattering the air. Dr. Freud, where are you? Said Mr. Pendergast. Eh, Tom? Indeed, said Tom. He comes up even closer to me and sniffs. He begins to lick the honey off my naked body with his great, long, strong, lapping, probing tongue. My legs part. My knees are weak. I'm shaking uncontrollably. I begin to cry and moan. He roars. He removes every bit of the honey, and by the time he does, I am shuddering with repeated spasms of pleasure. I'm racked with ecstasy, trembling. I think I shall die from pure joy and sensation. Oh, another touch and I would die. I would fall if I were not tied to the post. She stopped. Her eyes were closed. Beads of perspiration glistened on her brow and upper lip. She put a hand to her heaving breast and sank back in her chair. Oh, she cried. That's remarkable, Carrie, said Mr. Pendergast. I'll say, said Rita. She was holding her throat. What do you think, Tom? Said Mr. Pendergast. Tom raised his eyebrows and blew out a breath. You were right. That's quite a dream, he said. Fifi began to play with one of his shoes. What about the dog?